Pregnancy is a time of growth and learning. Information about childbirth and parenting has become prolific in this modern era of the internet. There's a lot of conflicting advice out there and horror stories by the dozen. The new generation of parents require a new approach in childbirth education, a marrying together of science and technology with the natural childbirth revolution of the 70s and 80s. I will do that for you. My name is Louise James and I'm coming to you from the beautiful province of Taranaki in New Zealand. I'm a mother and grandmother. I have a diploma in childbirth education with over 30 years experience and a Bachelor of Education in Early Childhood. I will sift through all the information and evidence and bring you the simple reality. I believe childbirth is a natural life process and I'm here to demystify the parenting journey for you, to show you how uncomplicated it can be. Just sit back and relax and I'll present information in an easy to understand format that can be viewed at your convenience and with whom you choose. I'm sure you're all really well aware of the developmental milestones of the baby as it's developing in the womb. There's a whole pile of apps out there. There's one that compares the development with fruit and vegetables, like 14 weeks and it's like a lemon. Women also experience a lot of discomforts and changes through pregnancy, and you can find all those answers on the internet. What I want to share with you is something a little bit different, something that's not so accessible. I want to join the dots between the new research around brain development of the infant and what you can do practically as a parent. From the moment of conception, the development of the baby is relentless and it's driven on by the DNA that comes from the mother and the father. But also the environment that the baby is in the womb makes a difference on the development as well. So I'm going to talk to you about the 5 senses of the baby. The sense of smell in a newborn baby is the most developed of all the senses, and it's because this sense of smell is going to help the baby to survive. Within the womb, the baby receives their nourishment from the placenta, and through that placenta the baby is beginning to learn whatever the mother eats, flavours, the amniotic fluid. So when the baby is born, it can find its way to the breast, which has the same aroma. We can learn from this is to be really careful about any chemicals like deodorants and perfumes that the mother might wear that could interfere with that wonderful and beautiful natural process. The sense of touch is also highly developed in the baby when they're born, and it's crucial to their physical survival. An experiment was done in the 90s where babies who were premature, some were given a massage and some were not, but they were given the same amount of milk. And so when it came to testing them, the babies who had had the massages were gaining weight faster. When the baby gets touched on the outside of the tummy by you, it's learning about touch, and that different people in the baby's life have different touch. Maybe the mother's is a little bit softer, maybe the father's is a little bit firmer. So touching, holding and lovingly caring for a baby makes a big difference not only for their emotional well-being, but it's also helping their digestive system and their physical development. Hearing is well developed in the unborn baby in the last trimester, and it's amazing how much the baby is learning about the environment around it that it can hear. When a baby is born, they can differentiate between a language that was in their home and to one that was foreign to them. Also, if they've repeatedly had stories told to them, music played, or any other sounds that are common, when they're born, they recognise them. So there's a lot of development that goes on in the womb. When the baby is born, you might instinctively want to talk in a high-pitched voice to the baby. This is called parentese, and it's been shown to enhance the child's cognitive development, emotional development, and language development. Also, if you know another language, it's a lovely time to begin while the child is still in the womb to speak that other language.
Oh, mi bebé lindo. ¿Dónde están los piecitos? ¿Los piecitos? ¿Dónde están? ¿Dónde están los piecitos?
So when they're born, they're already wired to be able to interpret that new and different language. A second language is known to enhance a child's cognitive development. As for sight, that's a different story in the development in the womb. It's the least developed of the senses. The eye, though, is a very important and complex organ, and it actually requires the baby to be in life outside the womb to fully develop. At about 27 weeks gestation, the little eyelids open and the babies can differentiate light and darkness. When they're born, they sort of see things in a kind of grey scale, but they are drawn to contrast and movement. So the thing that they're wired most to is to look at your face. The wonderful contrasts of the hairline, the eyebrows, the smile, and the movement of the lips. You can poke your tongue out to a newborn baby and they'll actually do it back to you. It's an amazing thing. The point of focus for a newborn baby is exactly the focus range between a mother breastfeeding, the mother's face and the baby at the breast. So if someone else is holding the baby and wants to have a lovely talk to them face to face, just imagine that distance and hold them at that place and they'll be able to be in focus with you also. Once the baby is born, the sight develops and there's like a window of opportunity for the development of the eyes. You don't have to provide any special equipment or toys. You just need to spend time with them in the loving home environment, outside in nature. There's nothing special required, but they do need to be stimulated. Another area of research which is particularly of interest to the unborn baby and to the new baby when it's born, is the field of microbiome, the bacteria that colonises us as humans in our gut and on our skin, and how beneficial it can be for the newborn baby in helping its digestion and mean it's not so susceptible to other bugs. The baby in the womb does get a little bit from the mother. They have discovered in the meconium of the baby, that's the first poo, some of the mother's gut bacteria. So what the mother eats and consumes during her pregnancy can have an effect. It's being cautious about antibiotics and antiseptics to allow lots of natural bacteria to be able to multiply. When the baby's born, through the vagina, it's wiped with the mother's bacteria colony. And the amazing thing about this bacteria is they've found families have the same kind of bacteria, that you may be carrying the same colonies from generations past, your great-grandmothers, for example. This is another positive for a vaginal delivery and getting the good bacteria. And the hands that hold the baby, the bacteria that's on the skin, is also given to the baby. Pregnancy is a pretty important time in the development of the baby in regards to things that can adversely affect them is alcohol, smoking, some drugs and some medications, some diseases like rubella, some food-borne illnesses like listeria, even cat litter. It's about being careful when you're pregnant about what you eat, and there's lots of publications and information on the internet about that you can easily find. Another area that people wonder about is exercise. Walking, going for swimming are great things when you're pregnant. But if you're a really avid exerciser, you can still continue and just be mindful of how you're feeling. If you're getting a bit out of breath or if you're overheating a bit, just stop. Use that as your guide, and that'll really prepare you well for the birth to come.
For me, this pregnancy is an absolute gift, being an older mum, and but everything has gone really well, and I'm very healthy and very happy and feel completely relaxed and content. Everything feels fine. I'm just huge. That's the only thing that I've really noticed. Like I'm nearly 34 weeks now, and like I get a little bit out of breath and things like that. But I'm exercising every day, so that's good. Yeah, sleep's good. I'm still working, and I just eat a lot, but very well. Yeah, I walk anywhere between 3 and about 8 kilometres every day, and without fail. I eat extremely well. It's really, but that's easy because actually my body doesn't want to eat junk food or anything like that. Keep really well hydrated.
You may not have intended to be pregnant. Statistics show that about 50% of pregnancies are unintended, and so you may have taken some drugs or had some alcohol early in your pregnancy without realising. What you can do from here on in is to just stop having those things, and you'll reduce the risks. But we can't do anything about what already has happened, but we can make positive decisions for our future. The baby begins to move early in its development, but you won't feel it until about 20 weeks on for first birth, and for second time round you'll feel the movements earlier. So the sort of things that you can be doing in pregnancy in preparation for the baby to be born is to include it now. Be inclusive of the baby, particularly if you have older siblings. The older children can touch your tummy, can talk to the baby. You can read books to the older children and the baby, and you can talk about the child and include the child. And even the sounds of dogs barking and cats meowing, if you have pets in the family, the child in the womb is already there and already part of the family. So be as inclusive as you can, and that will make the parenting journey so much easier when you actually have the baby in your arms. Now, if you're watching this and you're not the pregnant mother and you would like to be able to be supportive, what you can do is love her. And it's then up to her to love her baby. And when the baby's born, everybody can love one another, because oxytocin is a pretty important hormone in the whole process of labour and breastfeeding. And I'll go into that further in my subsequent videos.